Okay, you can start.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ekeocha, PM of Bincom Dev Center. So today, the topic I'll be talking about is project challenges, risks, and mitigation. So first of all, we all know what a project is. It's a temporary endeavor undertaken to achieve the desired results, like a unique result. So, and during the course of carrying out a project managers face some challenges. Uh, the entire team as well also face some challenges. And this is what this topic is all about. It's about pointing out some of these challenges that the project managers and project team face and how to mitigate these challenges or how to deal with them. So this is my table of contents. First of all, I will explain what project challenges are. Then I will give examples of these challenges and how to deal with them. And then I will draw a line between challenges and risks. Because some of it's not unlikely that some people would think that challenges and risks are the same, but there is actually a difference between the two of them. Then after that, I would conclude and take questions. So let's get into it. I hope everyone can hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. So like I mentioned earlier, project challenges are not, they are not new to projects, because during the course of carrying out a project, you're dealing with people, you're dealing with some uncertainties as well. So definitely you face some challenges along the line. So these challenges are issues that project managers or the entire project team face while executing a particular project. So they might come while trying to prevent delays in the project, when you're trying to make sure that your project is going on well and you're trying to meet up with your deadline. You might experience some challenges or some issues or some bottlenecks that might tend to draw you back or even threaten the progress of that particular project. So these things puzzle the project manager and also the project team members. It gets them to think like, why is this thing coming up? Or what did I do that made this thing come up? How do I go about finding solutions to these particular challenges? So these are problems that project managers and the entire project team face while carrying out or while executing a particular project. All right, so this challenge is posed to the project manager, but a good project manager would know how to work their way around challenges. So either with the help of the team, or if they feel it is something that they can handle on their own, if it's something that they feel that they should do on their own, fine and good, they can also do that as well. So I'm going to give some examples of these challenges and how to mitigate them. First of all, the first one I have here is scope creep. My last, my last presentation, I spoke about scope creep. Some of you here were present during that presentation, and I believe you understood what scope creep was when I explained it. But for the sake of this presentation, I'm still going to talk about it a little bit more. So scope creep is a natural and unexpected phenomenon for any project. Like the name implies, creep, it creeps up on you. These are events or requests that come from either the client, or they might even come from you, because sometimes these things arise as a result of the project manager not doing their homework very well. Like you don't determine the entire scope of that project, like the things that are needed to make that project work. And in the end, these things come back to bite you in the back to worry you. And this is also a form of challenge, because it poses the project manager. It gives them worry, like it delays the project, and it makes them think, what could I have done differently, or what is it that I did not do that is making this thing come up at this particular point in time. So when the project scope is not properly defined, or when clients do not know precisely what they want, it poses a project management challenge for both the managers and the entire project team. So when you do not get the clients to express explicitly what they need or what they require for this project, for their particular project, things things start coming up later on during the course of the project, like different requests start coming up, and you'll be wondering, why didn't this person, like, why didn't they say these things? Why didn't they say these things at the initial, at the planning stage or the initiation process? Because then it should have been better. It should have been better if they had expressed, or if they had mentioned all the things required for that project. It should have been better. And then you wouldn't have all these things coming back to bother you during the execution process. So this is how you take care of scope creep, right? Make sure that you engage the clients, like make sure that you have meetings with them, regular meetings with them at every point in time to understand clearly what they need. Like if this is a software that we're building for you, sir, what features do you require this particular software to have? Like get them to tell you all the things that they require for that particular software so that later on you won't have to start getting different requests from them telling you that this is something that I forgot and all of that. So make sure that you're proactively engaging your clients so as to get a clear idea of their needs and requirements, and also understand their expectations, because if you don't understand their expectations, there's no way you're going to meet them. If you don't understand the expectations of the clients, there is no way you're going to meet those expectations. So it is also advised to not take up any ad hoc change requests during the execution phase, as this can bring about delays and extra costs. But ensure you have a robust change control structure. This is because in case some of these changes are actually important and they should be incorporated into the project, you would require a change control structure to make sure that particular request goes through that process in order to be incorporated into the project. Because if you don't, it's going to pose a serious threat. And you don't want that bothering you during the execution stage. So that's that about scope creep. Moving on, the next one is poor communication. And I believe this one cannot be overemphasized. And it clearly speaks for itself. If you do not communicate properly or effectively with your team or with your clients, there is no way you'll be able to relay ideas or information or even get to know what the person requires. So if there is no proper communication during the course of that project, it poses a challenge, because then things like confusion and conflicts arise among the team members or even the project manager and the clients. So if you do not clearly express, or if you do not have an effective communication system, it poses a challenge to you, because then sometimes you'll be left wondering, okay, let's say for example now a particular team member, say team member B needs a particular piece of information to start working on a particular deliverable, but he doesn't have that information yet because team member A hasn't delivered it to him, and team member A is the only one who has that information. And if team member A does not relay that information on time and as when due, it is going to pose a challenge, because then the team member B wouldn't be able to carry out his own task and deliver on that particular task properly. So poor communication is bad for project teams as it affects their teamwork. It affects their teamwork. This English that I just spoke now will clearly tell you that the teamwork is not optimal. If this person is not relaying information to the other person, teamwork is not optimal. So confusion, conflict, and delays are but a few of the results of lack of communication and or miscommunication. So you can also deal with this. You can deal with poor communication by, there are a lot of collaborative tools out there. Like for example, now we have Slack and Bincom Dev Center. It's a collaborative tool. We also have Google Drive and all that. So if you're working in a team, if you're working on a project, these are tools that you can use to ensure that communication is effective and flowing during the course of that particular project. And also another thing that you can do to deal with poor communication is regular stand-ups. Like we have regular stand-ups here in Bincom, so that one is no news. Make sure you conduct regular stand-ups a few times weekly, or see like we do here every day during the course of that project. If you do this, it will also help. It helps in dealing with poor communication. And so with this, the project manager is aware of what each team member has done, is currently doing, and has planned to do. I hope you all can hear me. Can you still hear me? Am I still on? Hello?
Yes, you are on.
Okay. All right, so moving on. The next one is low standard of deliverables. So, excuse me. So this is kind of like under goals and objectives of the particular project not being clearly defined, because if the goal of the project or if the objective is not clearly defined, a team member wouldn't know what is required. Like he wouldn't know what the standard that is required to meet up to. All right. So, and these standards, they determine the success of that project. And if the deliverables are not up to standard, they have to be worked on again and again. And if this is done like more than necessary, it takes time, and it's a challenge for the project, because then you'll be taken back. Like you probably not meet your deadline. and this is not something that you have counted for. So this can cause delays to the project, and you really should not, and you really do not want that to happen to your project. You want to deliver on time. You'd like to be timely with your project. So this is how you deal with low standards of deliverables. You should ensure that you have the right people working on that particular project. If you have a particular task, make sure you assign the person with the proper skills for that task. You can't assign someone who has only knowledge of PHP to do a job that requires Python. If that person does not have knowledge of Python, there's no way he's going to do that job very well. There's no way he's going to deliver on that particular task. And then he will not meet up to standard. That particular deliverable will not be up to standard. It will not be up to the required standard. So while choosing your team members, make sure you're selecting the right people with the right skills for a particular task that you're assigning them to. Right? And also confirm that everyone is on the same page and knows the required standard, because it's not about selecting the right people to assigning the right people to tasks. You have to make sure that they know that this is the standard that is required. This particular task that you're given now, it should be up to this particular standard. And if it is not, then you've not done your job. So you have to confirm that everyone is on the same page and is aware of the required standard you are working towards as a team for the completion of that particular project to make that project a success. And also conduct regular reviews with the team to review what they have done so far and make corrections where necessary. So that is one way you can deal with low standards of deliverables. So the next one I have here is inadequate risk management. And I believe I've also talked about risk management during one of my KD presentations. I talked about how important it is to have risk management plan. And I also defined some of the different types of risks that we have and how to mitigate them. All right. So having the foresight to identify these potential dangers and making up backup plans to contain them is an important part of project management. And if you don't have this, if the project manager does not have this foresight, it's going to pose a challenge for that particular project, because then you won't know the kind of risks that you might encounter in the future. And if you don't know, there's no way you're going to make proper plans to keep them in check if they arise. Because no risk is 100%, no project is 100% risk free. You have to make room for backup plans in order to deal with potential risks if they come up. So this is how you deal with inadequate risk management. It falls on the project manager to come up with alternative plans that the project team can adopt if things begin to go south to the project. The project risk management system that identifies different types of risks and how to mitigate them is what happened. This is not something you should take lightly. If you're working on a project, make sure you have a proper risk management system, no matter how small or how big that project is. All right, so this is where I'll draw a line between challenges and risks. Some of us might think that they are the same, but challenge is something that is already happening, something that you've experienced this effect already. But risk is an event that has a likelihood of occurring in the future. Another difference is with events that have already occurred, which are challenges. It is much easier to identify the actual impact on the organization rather than having to predict what the impact might be, which is the case with risks. Right? So I have 2 minutes left. Actually, this is the last part of this. And this is where I conclude. So we know that for project management, there are a lot of tools, there are a lot of resources out there to aid projects, to help project managers carry out projects to make them a success. But despite the availability of all these resources, challenges still become up. And companies spend a lot of money in order to tackle these challenges. So the good project manager should be able to clearly define these challenges and deal with them with the appropriate measures. So if you've been dealing with some of these challenges that I mentioned during this presentation, now you know some of the ways you can mitigate them. You know how you can handle them. If they come up, say you're working on another project in the future, you would know how to work your way around that. And it's also worthy to note the fact that some of these challenges arise as a result of oversights or tiny mistakes on the part of the project manager. It is important, therefore, to ensure that every aspect of the project is clearly defined before execution starts. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for paying attention. This is where I take questions. If you have questions for me.
Hello.
Yeah, Victor, good morning.
Okay. Sorry, although my network went off for some minutes, But I have a question that has been on my mind since you've been presenting. There's this part they're talking about. I think that was the third one. Low deliveries, low standard of deliveries.
Low standard of deliverables. Yes.
Deliverables, yeah. So you are saying that you have to assign it to the person that is capable of the job. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Okay. So my question is, what if you give it to the person that is capable of doing the job, and at the end of the day, the person did not deliver the job you expected, or deliver the job as their standard, because you assigned it to them because of their standard, but they didn't deliver it to that standard. So what do you think the person can do, like the manager can do?
That's what I said that you should. One of the ways to make sure that doesn't happen is also conduct regular reviews. Make sure that at every milestone you conduct a review to make sure that this is up to standard. And if it is not up to standard, the person has to go and work on it again. That's the essence of having reviews. All right, to make sure that everything is up to standard. And also, if that person, like I mentioned earlier as well, it's not about having the right skills. You have to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Like everyone knows the standard you're working towards as a team, so that they know how to channel their energy and their skills to make sure that that particular standard is met. So I hope I've answered your question, Victor.
Yes, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Any other question? Any other question? I have questions. If there are no questions, I would like to ask my own questions. Mr. Jacob, can I ask my own questions?
Yeah, good morning.
Go ahead. Be specific. Call their names.
I should call their names.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, someone is speaking. Who is speaking, please?
My name is Aoyemi Patrick Benga.
Good morning, Aoyemi Patrick.
Yeah. Actually, because of network issue, I can't really get all the presentation. I'm not really get everybody. The few area I wanted to ask question is the area of project executing projects, maybe as a unable to execute projects where to make it give the right results as a result of
up to standard.
Up to standard, maybe some issue, delay, and all those stuff that you said that if the team can handle the project alone or something. So in area where there is no, there's no way you can handle a project in a way that is going to give the right results if the conditions that needed to be met are not there. What can somebody do?
So first of all, in order to meet your standards, you need to have right on the team. People who understand the project, like people who have been with you from the planning stage, and you understand that these are the things that are required. These are the standards that we're working towards. And then you select the team members. Sorry, can you guys see hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you select team members for that particular project based on their skills. Like if you have a particular task, make sure you're assigning that particular task with someone with the right skills, someone you know who can deliver. And then it's not just about that. Make sure that you conduct reviews. Make sure that you conduct reviews with them to make sure that they're working towards the right standard. And I believe if you do that, if you're a good project manager, you come out on the other side with the right results. Does that answer your question, Patrick?
Yes, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Another question?
All right, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael, for the presentation. You can stop sharing your screen now.
I didn't get to ask my questions. I have 20 questions. So I didn't get to ask my questions.
Oh, the time is
all right, no problem.
It's gone already. Mr. Boyde.